You're welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis show. And my guests are Kweku Bako, Asa Nkoma, Dominic Nitiwu, and Abraham Amalba. A couple of your messages that I have here to share with you. This one from Kwame Frimpong, aka Buffalo. He says that I think all that the Ghanaian voter demonstrated in this election is just telling the politicians that they have to listen to them, the voters. NDC and President Mahama lost the elections because economic situation was tough, unnecessary spending, high utility bills, high import duties, the dollar CD rate, etc. Okay, and this is one of those who deal in spare parts things. So, you know what has happened overnight at the Abosokai? Surprising, surprising, surprising. They have begun reducing, you know, so their prices.
After all, the economy was not hard.
They say they are doing it in anticipation of the promise by the NPP to reduce the taxes. This one from Mr. How could it be sent by both of you? Mr. and Mrs. Echampong. They say that the gentleman who said Nana had 500,000 more votes is right, because in 2012 he had 5.2 million and in 2016 he had 5.7 million. So indeed, Nana took some votes from Mahama. Okay.
It's 5.545551.
Yeah, it's not 5.7.
Okay, so it's
the latest figure is 5545514.
Okay.
And in 2012 was 5248.
It's about 250,000.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. Now, let's get to the transition and matters arising. I'll start with Dominic, because you are with the team. First of all, the major complaint that you have brought up, as in through Mr. Osafo-Maafo. Let's hear Mr. Osafo-Maafo quickly, and then we'll hear Hannah Tete, who is leading the government team. The two, Osafo-Maafo leading the president-elect team, and Hannah Tete leading the government team, and then we'll come to do the discussion. Let's hear them.
We have heard from the grapevine a few things which have become our concern, talking about the incoming government team, the transition team. For instance, we have heard about ongoing recruitment into the security services now, which we hope is not true. We've heard of conversion of temporary staff, of political assistants, and some of the staff we took on into permanent public servants. We've heard of award of new contracts after the election results are announced on the 9th of December. We've heard of procurement of sales and national access also after the results. We do not want to believe that these allegations are true. We need to be cautious, we need to be transparent, we need to be candid, and we need to be factual. We don't have all the, call it handing over notes. Some are ready today. I'm yet to take over majority of the handing over notes. I've just been given 8. And there are over 30 of them. So not until you receive the handing over notes of important ministries like finance. I mean, if you receive handing over notes on chieftaincy, I mean, there's nothing to write home about.
I have seen an advertisement in the papers suggesting that the Ghana Armed Forces is conducting a recruitment exercise. Now, they are advertising for people to apply. It is highly unlikely that that recruitment exercise will be concluded before the 7th of January, in which case the incoming administration will then have the responsibility and will have the oversight to see how the exercise is concluded. I am not aware of any contracts being awarded. I am not aware of sale of government properties. All sorts of things get thrown around at times like this. I think that if it can refer to a particular agreement, I will investigate and respond. Remember that I have responsibility for a sector ministry. I don't have responsibility for the entire government machinery. So even when you ask me a question, I will have to inquire and then be able to get back to you. But I don't have that information.
All right, so Yao Safumafo and Hannah Tete. I'm still trying to come to understand how Hannah Tete lost her seat with the margin that she lost. Okay, now what's going on? The law says these handing over notes ought to be ready 30 clear days before December 7, before the elections. What's going on?
November 7th, all the handing over notes should have been ready and handed over to the Administrator General. It was not done, clearly. Even if it was done, like the Chief of Staff said, they have taken them back to really look at them and then bring them back. As Wednesday, when we took delivery of some of them, they gave us a list of 10 ministries they thought they had. We cross-checked and realized that only 8 were available. Okay, so as we sit today, we have 8 that are there. Interior, defense, and a few others that are available. All the others are not. So according to the law, they have not
assured you. She assured you that those will be made available by Monday.
But that's not what the law says. The law is very, very clear that 30 days before the election, you deposit all these handing over notes with the Administrator General. It's not been done. That is the fact. What the Chief of Staff actually told us was that, well, they did it, and then some of the people didn't have time to read through, and they signed, they had to retrieve them and redo it again. But you see, it's dangerous. There's a reason why these things are done, and these things are asked. There's a reason why the law was done the way it is done. So that the government, the outgoing government does not have the opportunity to do certain things that will create a problem for the incoming government. It's a simple thing. And you were supposed to have given the original copy to the president-elect. You will give one copy to archives, you give one copy to parliament, you give one copy to chief justice, you give one copy to the presidency. So that's exactly what was supposed to be done. It's not been done. So the law has not been followed. The government has, and they say Monday will get the rest. That's 1 week after the inauguration. It's not been done. We have a problem with that. And that is why we are saying, and which is true, that people are doing recruitment. Go to National Service as we sit today. Pastor White is busy doing recruitment, giving out letters now, as we sit now.
You know that National Service, there was a mass dismissal of almost all the directors at the district and at the regional levels. You know that?
You see, but that's the problem that we are saying, that you should have handed over, as part of the handing over notes, all this information to the Administrator General. So, post the elections, you don't do recruitments. Even if you want to do recruitment, you let them know, because the law is very clear. Section 6 says that the handover notes shall reflect the accurate developments which have taken place during the tenure of the office and projections of development to take place before the end of the full term of the office. It's very, very clear. And look at the handover notes. What it says, the office of the president shall prepare a set of comprehensive handover notes covering the term of the office of the president as the executive authority under Article 58 of the Constitution. And look at what it contains. A, the handing over notes received by the president and the ministers on resuming office. So it is not just what your term, but even what you received. You should inculcate it into the current handover, which in my case and other cases, it looks like they've overlooked it. And then the second one is the B, notes on the activities of the president or others. So you are not just handing over, like what we are receiving now. In the event that we are supposed to hand over to another government or to ourselves, we should hand over what we are receiving now, plus the activities that will take place during our term to the incoming person.
So that what you have received is just what they have done and not what they also received.
Yes.
They received from themselves when they were handing over in 2012.
But I'm even saying that the handover notes are not ready, and that is dangerous. That's not good for us. And so people are doing recruitment, people are awarding contracts. In my constituency, as we said, a road that I use my own resources to do. You know, when you are doing a road, you clear and then you form the road. I did this. They have gone to award that road and put a grader back on that road. A road I did about a month ago. So I called the coordinating director. I told him, what are you doing? You see, so these things are happening all over the country. Look, go to the cars that have been seized at the port. People are taking them like as if it is nothing. National Service, go to immigration, go to the army, they've advertised all over. Look, the army, you know, they have this non-financial institution that they have established. They intend to recruit people immediately. These are wrong. You should not do these things at this time. If you are going to do, because it's not in the handing over notes, obviously once you have handed over, it will not be in the handover. You should let the transition team know that these are the things that you do, because after all, a government is not static. The government's term will end on midnight, okay? And midnight, Parliament, midnight, they will go and get them sworn in, and then the presidency will be sworn in the following day. So that is there. So it's supposed to be there. So there are some basic things you will do beyond the November 7th. But if you are going to do any emergency thing, let the incoming person know, because they say it should reflect accurately up to the end. But they're not doing that. So they are doing so many things that the incoming people, this will not know. And then when you take over, because the transition team will last after the 7th, and you begin to now see this and they say witch hunting. And that is not what it was supposed to be.
The team has 6 weeks.
6 weeks. The mandate will end beyond in February.
Okay.
You see?
Now Amaba, I don't know what you think. The position that Dominic shares, is it not reasonable? Is it not the most logical position to canvass? That if the law says hand over before 7th of December, a month before 7th of December, you should not be engaged in things as are being done now, recruitment. And I've heard you also, and I've heard Anita this also, and other people say, look, what is the MPP talking about? The MPP was talking about jobs. We have built hospitals. We'll fill those hospitals with human beings to work before you come. Is that right?
But he has not been able to tell me the section that he's talking about, who says they should hand over notes should be handed over to the administrator on the 7th.
Yes, he's reading section 6.
I just read section 6.
It's not on the 7th. It's
where is that?
I just read
it's
section 6.
It's 30 days. 30 days before the election. That's December 6th. December 7th.
It's not contributed.
Yeah, it's there. Let me read mine for you.
Yeah.
Let me read mine for you. Section 6, handing over
I didn't
notes.
go to that.
Yeah, don't worry. I'll read it. Section 6, handing over notes. I think it is in section 6, subsection 3. It says the handing over notes. No. The move forward to, yes, subsection 4. It says that the original and 5 other copies of the handing over notes shall be presented to the Administrator General appointed under Section A2 not later than 30 days before the date of the presidential election.
Good. I think that I want to start from Osafo Mafo's press statement, press conference. You heard him prefix his press conference with grapevine.
Right.
And I thought that you can't just come out with a press conference based on grapevine. I thought that once it was a transition team and you had the government side and your side, you just approach them with what information you have. But to put out this, and if one is not attentive with the word grapevine, one would think that he's coming out with a fact. And I thought that in the spirit of the fairness and what the two leaders said about their transition teams, that they should be candid with each other, this was one of the things that Osafo Mafo could have approached Hannah Tete on it. You notice that when they were...
Okay, and I think it ought to be corrected too. I am sure he was not doing a press conference. It was after their meeting and the media approached media and asked questions.
But nonetheless, it was something that he sold to the whole world.
Right.
And I thought that he could have contacted Hannah and find out whether these things are true.
Okay.
Now, and that's why Hannah indicated that.
Let me give you the facts. It's not a press conference. It was not after. They were asked to make, Chief of Staff made comments prior to our meeting. Osafo Mafo was asked to make comments prior to the commencement of the meeting. Okay. It was during that time that he said, these are the worrying things that are coming. And exactly that. I just gave you one of them, which we had at the National Service.
Thank you for
but I have a challenge.
They are not the grapevines, they are two things.
Oh, you see, so you are amending, there are two things.
Go ahead.
So I have a problem with the grapevine thing and using that as a basis too. And that is why, from our side, Hannah indicated that Well, she's unaware of any contract. And indeed, Osafo Mafu would have helped the situation if he had indicated those contracts that he had are being signed off. And so, just as how human beings have names, contracts have names. So you deal with the matter by pointing out which contract is government signing. There was nothing of that nature. So there were a lot of...
a difference that Hannah Tete had said that, yes, we are aware of advertisements.
No, I'm coming to that.
By the military.
No, you need to look at it. Advertisements are not contracts.
And then this is what she says in her statement. She issued a statement later, particularly when John Boedu of the NPP alleged that some of the documents were doctored. I understand he's apologized. I don't know. I haven't heard it. Hannah Tete says that it is important to point out that the current administration is a lawfully elected government of the Republic of Ghana and has the authority to exercise all the functions of government until the handover takes place to a new administration. The transition process should not be seen as a shutdown of the administration of the outgoing government. Members of the government transition team are available, like you just said, for consultation and discussion with our counterparts on the other side in respect of any concerns they may have at any time. The committees that have been established under the provisions of the Act are required to work to ensure a smooth transition and are appropriate venues for discussions of any issues. Requests for discussions, information, clarification can be made to the leadership of the transition team on the government side or directly to individual members of the team. And then before that, this is an important statement she made that I wish to refer to. She said that the allegations of contracts, she has something to say about it. Other allegations have been made in the public domain to the effect that the government is recruiting new employees and signing contracts, creating the impression that the outgoing administration is engaging in acts of illegality. That is where she then came in to say it is important to point out that the current administration is still in force and is working.
Yeah, so we should have been told what contracts, the names of those contracts. And then he talked about recruitment. I know that some of these recruitment exercises started way back 6 months ago. They were advertised. Immigration, GRA, you have the military. All these exercises started 6 months ago. We never knew, for God's sake, that we're going to lose elections and Osafo Mafu will be waiting somewhere who would be saying some of these things. So that we should say that, oh, the process will go beyond 7th December. So let's not do it because there's an Osafo Mafu somewhere who asks those questions. In any case.
Is it not reasonable to expect that since you are going into elections, you ought to conduct yourself in a manner that anticipates that anything could happen?
When you say conduct ourselves, as if we have misconducted ourselves by putting advice for people to apply. There's no misconduct here.
He hasn't said that, has he?
No. You see, I don't like the way you are doing.
I'm sorry. Forgive me.
We have conducted ourselves as a government in power and steering the affairs of this country. One of it is that there is the need to recruit to replace the military men. At that point, are we not empowered to do that 6 months ago? National Service, similar things. There were adverts where, indeed, people were asked to apply and some interviews were conducted. Public service is aware of this. The institutions which are supposed to be part of this were all part of it, and now they are giving out letters. I am of the view that probably the NPP is afraid of its own shadows. You know, when dry bones are mentioned, old ladies become uneasy. Under the Kufuor administration, we reviewed a matter here. Precisely 12 July, we reviewed the matter 2015. where on the 6th of January, President Kufuor signed off compensation package to a British family. The question to ask is, was he entitled to do that as the president of the country? If the answer is yes, I think that this government's tenure of office will end on the 6th of January. And we are not even doing that on the 6th of January. We are not doing that on the 31st of December. We are not doing that on the 29th of December. We are doing these things on the 14th, 15th of December.
Were you happy about that?
Were we happy?
Yes.
So you think...
Were you happy about that act?
You
were not.
The country is not ruled on the basis of who is happy, who is not happy. Does the law allow that? Has the law been breached? Has anything gone wrong? Have we gone beyond what the law stipulates us to do? We have not gone beyond the laws of this country. The mandate given by the people of this country includes that we govern this country until the 6th of January. I agree that probably as an incoming government, they will want to know some of these things. That is within their right. But that has not stopped this government from controlling and managing the affairs of this country to the glory of the people of this country. Suppose that there's a contract to be signed today for the supply of water for the people of Dapotudongo in Bolga. Would we say that that is not to inure to the benefit of the people of Dapotudongo in Bolga? And for that matter, it should not be signed?
Okay.
I agree that probably at this period of transition, you bring them on board, let them know what is happening. But it does not call for the shutdown, as Hannah said, of government activities. It doesn't call for that.
Thank you. And as you see, I've had the privilege of having to lead a legal battle on an issue of similar nature, where the NPP, before they exited, had rationalized and put some people, on the payroll properly because they were working under certain status. And then when the NDC came to power, they simply refused to recognize these, actually, dismiss these people. And then these people took the matter on. Obviously, the government didn't have any defense because it looked like it was bad. And when you talk to them, they will say these were people that the NPP government, in last minute, decided to rationalize and put on government payroll. So we are not ready to assist them. So what's going on? The NDC right now is doing this. The NPP is complaining. The NPP is guilty of similar things.
Yes, and that is why we are a nation ruled by law. And Samson, this is my eternal frustration with politicians. Amalva makes a revealing statement. We never knew that we would lose. Hello, reality. You could, and you did lose. And the law, now my response to that statement you made is a statement we used to make in advancement. Last days are dangerous. The last days are dangerous. And we've been through terrible transitions. And so being sensible, reasoning people, we put a law together and said, this binds you. Now that law has a cutoff date. In fact, you are under no obligation to report on matters that happen after the day you submit your handing over notes. Politicians, the law says 30 days to the election, submit your handing over notes. It is frozen. So the new government will know the things that have happened after the 30 days. The law is reasonable. Human beings are unfortunately often are not, especially these politicians. The law says submit the handing over notes 30 days. So there's a 30-day cutoff period. Indeed, about 3, 4, 5 months to formal handover. So that when the new government comes, you give him the handing over notes, which shows the state of affairs 30 days before the election. Everything thereafter may be an update. But you are not allowed to rewrite your handing over notes. That is an illegality. And we know, and I know for a fact that that is going on in several ministries. Those who haven't submitted, it is because they are rewriting. Now, it's interesting. On 16th October, the Administrator General stated that he had written to all the ministries and given them up to 25th October to surrender their handover notes. That was not done. The politicians breached that, and Amaliba is clear because they never knew they would lose power. But that is also your problem, because whether you are going to lose power or not, the minister is required to do the handover notes, because there's no indication that minister.
You are getting me wrong. You are getting me wrong. I didn't say that. We didn't know that we will lose power. That's why the handing over notes were not prepared.
Well,
indeed,
you use that
as
the basis.
No, I didn't. No. How did you get that? How did you get that?
Okay.
I talked about recruitment.
May I continue?
I talked about recruitment.
That's what
Thank you.
You need this clarification.
I hear you.
I said recruitment.
May I proceed?
Thank you.
6 months into.
Thank you for making
If you have done what the legal thing said you should do, then even if you recruit now, the new government comes in and has the opportunity to look at the recruitment as against your handing over notes. Whether your handing over notes predicted that indeed we between now and handing over and actual handing over, we have to recruit 30 more people for this ministry. Now, if you do not do that, if you refuse, fail, neglect, breach the law, and do not hand over your notes within 30 days, although the Administrator General wrote to all of you to demand it, and the law is sensible. It says don't only give it to one person, so you change it. Hand it to 5 different people, so that there's no room for you to tinker with it. And that formed the basis of the allegation of abduction, although it wasn't well grounded. So what happens then is that when you breach the law, you disregard the law, you create a swamp, you create a murky situation where now stories come from everywhere and nobody can justify it. I think that yes, Mr. Safumavo probably should have tamped down a little bit, but under the circumstances where they were flying blind, and that blindness is caused by you, and your refusal to comply with the law, you must take some of the blame. People of Ghana, can we demand respect of the law from these politicians? They don't respect the law. They don't respect us. Every minister should have done this 30 days before the election. If you don't do it, you're in trouble. Now, look at the recruitment. Right, go ahead and recruit. I expect that every recruitment will go with a 6-month probation period. So if you think, yes, so you keep on recruiting. Can we, for once, respect the law? And I'm telling you that all of this that is going on would not have happened if the politicians respected the law. Unfortunately, there's no punishment for breaching this law. But if they were, then we should, I believe we should prescribe jail terms for ministers who refuse to comply with the 30-day cutoff point. So we hold the MPP to it in 4 years' time. I cannot believe how irresponsible we can be, how childish we can be in not obeying the simple law and drive us into this unnecessary chaos. Please, every politician, no, you will lose power. It is not yours. It's for the people of Ghana. They'll determine whether you stay in it or not, and they tell you, and the law binds you to submit it. Those ministers who are still putting handover notes together, you are the source and cause of the problems that we have. Can we obey the law? Can we respect the Administrator General? We can't starve his office and expect him to perform.
And wait, before Kweku comes in, I'm going to play you an interview with the Administrator General, and you will hear what the Administrator General has to say. Okay, let's Kweku speak. The Administrator General has been talking. He gave about an hour's interview to Joy News TV, and he complained bitterly that when, like Ace said, they were supposed to submit the reports, they were not ready, most of them. And then his job, you must have heard him. He says that he doesn't have a single vehicle to do his job. He uses his wife's vehicle. His staff, he doesn't have the IT staff that are required to do the job. He's supposed to have conducted inventories. He should have gone to the president's home, gone to the vice president's home to conduct inventories, to know what is there. You know, the president and the vice president vacate their office. Is it a day before in this law? But as for the ministers, yes, but as for the ministers,
3 months.
They have 3 months after the inauguration. Kweku, the matters that are coming up, you may say that Hanatete is putting things in their right perspective, but those other party and government people who are speaking on the sides, they may be the ones seeking to complicate issues.
Well, it's clear that relative to Section 6 of the Act, there's no doubt that there has been a violation, that the outgoing government did not meet the requirement. I think there's no doubt, and Ace has emphasize that. I do not want to overemphasize.
Okay. So like Ace was saying, I'm just having the privilege of looking at a contract that is giving out on sole source on the 15th of December.
Yeah, but let me proceed. Can I? That violation is clear. But if I read this law and the 30 days on anything, I don't see any explicit provision that places an injunction on government business. I don't see it. It's not there. It was never the intention of those who drafted this to say that because of the 30 days time frame, government business must come to a stop. That the government in office cannot do business. It's not there. And you see, let me be honest with you, this is the season for bogus informants. Whoever hasn't read Mr. Kwansi's book should go and read it. And they are out there. Mr. Osafo gave 4 things that he thought he had heard was happening. But did you hear him say, not that he believes it?
So if they are true.
Yeah, he says he doesn't know if the things are true. So why go to the public domain, public space, when you have an appropriate framework within the context of the transition team to raise those issues if you have to raise them? We've had this incident happening. 2001 it happened. 2009 it happened. I have the documents here to show to you. The same thing about DVLA. It happened 2009, if you recall. That things were being changed there, left, right, center.
Now the allegation is that they are burning documents
Yes.
about government vehicles.
The
and
same
they have
thing
denied
happened.
that.
Check the headlines. See it, GNA reports, other newspaper reports. A Contrary and Accountant General's Department, 2009, they said documents were being shredded. We've had the same thing. I am saying that this time we had a legal framework, fortunately, for all of us, to deal with the mischief, if there is one. So what was the basis of the leader of the incoming government's team going public and making those allegations? What was the basis?
They did it in front of the
It was
cameras,
wrong.
so right there at the
It's the same material. Look,
No,
it was wrong.
no, but
In my
why you have
candid
a contract?
opinion, those sound bites do not help even for the team, the two sides, to focus. It happened 2009. So you remember the other side left. Kujompiani's team.
Can I say something?
No, but when you have a contract of about 80 million, excuse me, when you have a contract of about 80 million pounds being awarded on the 15th, and it's not included in the handover, you should be worried.
No,
as a citizen, you should be
wait,
worried.
Wait, you haven't finished. You should be worried. You should be worried and express your worry at the committee level, where you are.
He's not saying don't be worried.
I haven't said don't be worried.
Look, people of Ghana, a lot of the problems we had understanding the dispute between Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana was the terrible handing over that happened the last time.
See,
people don't know that the new government was absolutely clueless about the depth of the dispute because the handing over process was truncated because of this bad blood. We are the ones suffering. In fact, I really don't want to hear any politician on this one.
Look, Mr. Kufuor, when 2008, when he came into office, he froze some contracts. He said contracts that have been negotiated but not signed, they were subject to the review. Okay? So there is no need even to be unduly worried. Rumors, in 2009, I have it here, they said, Bank of Ghana, some big, huge amount of money have been taken out from Bank of Ghana and sent somewhere. It's the same thing is being said today.
There was another one recently.
Yes.
There's some $44 million.
Yes.
Oh, how?
I mean, how? What are we doing to ourselves? You see, so to be honest with you, I think that Mr. Osafo committed an act of indiscretion. The thing lacked finesse. When you have the platform, you have the opportunity, you have the capability to cure the mischief, if it is mischief, right within the framework of the law. We shouldn't be promoting these things. It doesn't help anybody. If indeed contracts are being signed and they are not being signed in accordance with the appropriate law and procedures, who told you those things was done after January 7th? So why are you worried?
People are worried about judgment, potential judgment debt.
You have signed a contract with the government that is there up to safe.
Look, if they are not in accordance with law, that's basic.
Well, and I can tell you, it's so sourcing. Well, I'm pretty certain,
so.
I'm pretty certain you can throw it out. Because we saw Smarties.
80 million pounds.
No, don't worry, we saw
So
Smarties. So go into it. And if people breach the procurement law, for the first time, let's prosecute people.
Do we have to go to that
If you
extent?
don't do it,
control
if
that.
you don't do it, they continue to do that.
With the law.
Can we just use the law?
That's the point.
And the
Otherwise, this is
politicians
just
in their
throwing the thing into the
the
public
politicians
domain.
in their usual equalization thing. Someone are saying, is this the same Hanatete who came out during the transition to say the country is broke?
She is the one.
Now saying that every discussion about the transition should stay within and not out. But what she's saying is the right thing
I'm
to be done.
expecting the Akufo-Addo-led team to enhance the integrity of our governance behavior.
Okay.
That's what I'm expecting.
All right, so let's listen to the Administrator General and the problems he has with that august office. And we return to read your messages and to hear the final comments of my panelists. We'll be right back. Let's listen to the Administrator General.
Lack of vehicles to move around. My office hasn't got a single vehicle. Even when last month I realized that there is the need to visit the residences of these ministers to find out what is on the ground. I appealed to the Office of the President for a vehicle to be able to do this because I needed to put up a team. Even the Office of the President was, in fact, they selected 2 or so people to be on the team. So this team was now to move from the Office of the President, bungalows of the President, Vice President, the ministers, and to ascertain certain things. And as I'm talking now, I haven't been able to get any means at all. So we haven't been able to perform that function. So we are, as at now, we are not private to the...
So what it is that beyond your logistical challenge, you even have human resource challenges as well.
Exactly. This year, I've limited it just to request for 5 officers. But as at now, again, I haven't had any concrete response from the Minister of Finance.
Right.
Every Ghanaian who watches this should weep for this country. We should be weeping for this country.
No, but Amaba just told
Samson,
you the reason
this is
why.
why we have the problems we have. I am sad, I'm broken. Yeah. Listen to the man and look at the splurge over the elections. Look at the splurge. He doesn't even have a car. How is he going to conduct the inventory? He doesn't have the staff. And instead of dealing with this, they are at the transition committee trading barbs.
Well, the same man has just told us.
I'm not sure.
The same man has just told
not
us
at
that they have everything intact. Just a while ago, not too long ago, about 2 days ago.
It's a civil service problem. He speaks, he's tamped down and said, do you remember the thing about Metro? Matthew, the meteorological thing. So we know that. Look, ladies and gentlemen, can we just act like proper, decent Ghanaians?
Okay.
Who understand how these things work?
The next question about the transition, which I want all of you to address, is this, that people have concerns that the ritual where a new government takes over and everybody must pack out of their office. Those in government agencies and departments, some of which we know do things that you may say do not have any political, coloration or whatsoever. Already, forget about the constitutional independent bodies and others like the Bank of Ghana, where we are even hearing things about the governor, job being on the line, and Dr. Anthony Akoto says suggesting that the governor should resign, shouldn't wait to be kicked out because he cannot work there because he has a different, approach and he's too much into this administration. I'm not talking about that. I'm referring to, say, the GIPC, Ghana Investment Promotion Center. The person who is there, is she a professional? Should he go? Should she go because of a new government? Shouldn't some of these people be maintained? Yes, Amaba, I'll start with you.
I think, unfortunately, your lamentation cannot be helped because when you look at the Presidential Transitional Act, it actually says that even board members of those institutions should all leave with the leaving of the president who appointed them. So it appears we are in a situation where there's always going to be a sweep clean anytime the one who appoints you.
It's not everywhere. There are those whose office is not coterminous with that of the president.
No, I'm saying that state institutions like statutory bodies. It's in the transition. It's in the. Is there? It's there. It's there.
Went to fight the Bank of Ghana
So
issue.
now the question now to ask is, would this supersede the Okudjeto's Bank of Ghana situation?
Professor Mills have dissolved the,
but isn't there?
No, it's there. It's there.
No, I doubt.
Misreading it.
Maybe some other document,
I
not
think I'm
this.
misreading.
No, there's
Some other document, not the Transition Act.
I've not seen it here.
No.
It's there.
I'm very sure about that. Check it. Maybe I didn't read as much as you did.
Vocation of official residence.
Yes,
I've not seen that.
So there's some Okudjeto one that he's referring to.
It is, and that's inaccurate.
Okay, let's.
The Bank of Ghana Act provided for the appointment of members of the board for a specific term.
Yeah.
When NDC took over, they purported to terminate the appointments of the members of the BOG board. He went to court on the specific Bank of Ghana Act, which assured him of a certain term, and won. And to I almost said Uncle Sam, to Mr. Okudjeto's credit, he even allowed the court not to grant the interim injunction. He fought on principle because the court could have restrained them from appointing anybody to the office while the matter was pending. He said it's not going to go that way, right? So let's not mix the wrong things.
Right, but even in the Bank of Ghana situation, for example, the governor, he takes office pursuant to terms and conditions like Justice of the Superior Court. You can't touch him. You can't do anything.
I think that's why they are urging him to resign.
Right.
No,
But you can't.
you see, there are some things that, some positions that is very clear and is according to law. I'm not sure there's any president out there who want to break the law. It's very, very clear. But when you decide to indulge in political activities, it's up to you. It is not the law any longer. I know Akufo-Addo very, very well. Akufo-Addo is not the type of president who will go out there sacking people because they are not part of his party. No. He will go according to what the law says. It's exactly as that. And I can assure you on that particular one. So you are not going to see the situation whereby people will go hold others by the ear and pull them out and say because you don't belong to the NPP or you don't share our vision. Of course, it is just right that there are certain positions that a president will need people who share his vision to be able to succeed. So it's like that. But to say that because you have a position that is not political, and so because of that the president is going to ask you to leave. No, that one will not happen. But that is not to also say that the president will not streamline things to enable him achieve what he has to achieve. Obviously, he has to. He moved to people. He knows the people who can help him achieve what he promised the people of Ghana. Okay, it's as simple as that. Well, look, let me give an example. When you have an individual who obviously is on a platform campaigning for a political party, okay, and insulting people left and right, like my good brother what is his name?
Chum Boafo.
Free Zones Board. And then you come to government.
He shouldn't wait.
I'm not saying you should pack out. And you come to government. And then the president says, well, I'm covered by law, so leave me there. It becomes a very difficult issue for you yourself as an individual to even work with the person who you decided to not just criticize on principle, but denigrate and insult. So it's up to you.
So you're assuring that there's not going to be a wholesale everybody get out?
None of us is a Democrat. That one I can assure you it won't happen.
Okay, Kweku, what do you say about that?
I'll reserve my comment for now.
I'll jump in. Look, in sanitizing our public service,
Kweku is smiling and I reserve my comment.
Even if you are appointed by a government, can you elevate yourself above the ordinary political fray? And that's one of the things we don't see. Because they are appointed by a certain government, they become political actors. Animals. But you are supposed to be a public servant, a servant of the public, not a servant of the government. And so what we see are people who take positions will become incongruous. And so if there's a change of government.
Examples are made of, is it the Wadakun, the Tema Oil refinery, that he was part of the campaign for the president to be re-elected.
And not just that.
But if he has shown enough competence that he can do the job, should it matter?
But that is why he should be careful what he does. You gotta act cleanly. You gotta act like a professional. Now you see, there's a problem we have. If you have
comment,
Yeah,
meanwhile
but
he's saying thank you to you.
No, listen. You're a public officer. You are serving in the public board, and you are insulting a presidential candidate. And the next time he wins, can you salute him? Shouldn't your own conscience tell you that, you know what, if I insulted you and called you names, I can't work with you. So before the day you are announced, I myself, I write a letter, say, thank you, I can't work with you. But you haven't done that. These people, Tumbafu and others, look at the things they said about Nanado. Can they work under him? As for me, I think it should be left to their consciences. But because now he has to appear before the man that he might have denigrated and now say, yes, sir, I take instructions. Wow, I can't live with that. My conscience will kill me. I won't work under those circumstances. Let's leave all of them to their consciences. But I don't think they should be forced out of office. That is not the right one. But let's see if they can stand to work under the government of a man they denigrated, and to that extent. I can see we still can't find.
Okay.
I can find it. I can find it.
Okay.
It's not there.
No, transition.
It's not in the act.
No, it's here. It's here.
Section
4 in transitional provisions.
What does it say?
A person holding office under the Presidential Office Act, 1993. Wait. So these are people. Now it says that ministers of state, regional ministers, deputy ministers, special assistants, special aides, non-career ambassadors and high commissioners.
Non-career.
Then 6 persons appointed by the president, or a minister of state as members of statutory bodies and corporations.
Let's be careful.
So these people will all go.
Yes, but that's what I'm saying.
that
Under the Presidential Act.
I'm saying
the
that
statutory bodies and other agencies that are formed by law, which have legal basis for their boards, this does not apply. If you are appointed under the Presidential Act, then
sure. So I'm saying that
two different
those who are even board members in these corporations would have to go.
No,
because they are ministers.
No.
The Bank of Ghana board is not.
The Bank of Ghana board
is not. That's not here.
If the agency
persons appointed by the president.
Yeah, but
wait.
No, read the first stop.
Office under the Presidential Office Act.
Yes. So what I am saying is that those people, even on boards, would have to go.
Okay,
that was my point.
So now you're saying that.
That was my point.
So the critical qualification is this. Now, I'm glad you're doing that qualification for me.
Yes, those people,
if the appointment came under the Presidential Officers Act.
And they are on board.
Yes.
And they are on board.
Yes, through the Presidential Office Act.
Yes.
But if the person is on a board, on account of that institution having its own statute, which states its term,
in that one,
they are not
the law establishing that body, that institution will
what
determine.
should apply. Okay,
yes.
thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
That's the point.
Thank you.
This is very small.
This is the point I was making.
Thank you. Okay. Before we talk briefly about and close with the president's address that he's supposed to give, his last State of the Nation address that he's supposed to give, is I start with, there are those who say the president-elect should take a cue from Trump in the U.S. His appointments. He's appointed people who are billionaires, who are established, who have achieved.
You're talking about Franklin Kujo. He's one person.
He's one person, but he's been evaluating all the manifestos. Do you agree with that?
I'm sorry. You know my bias where U.S. politics is concerned. I'm not sure I've even followed the people that Trump is appointing. But I think that the incoming president, should look at the team he has, the people he has, within his party and outside his party, who knows, Amaliba, and appoint the people he thinks will be best for the various positions. I with my current left of center views, I inherently reject the glorification of money. That once the person is a billionaire, he can run a public institution. I have taught in public, as a public servant, and I've been in private practice, and the issues are different. They are not the same. Making money in business will not make you a good governor. So I'm not too sure that that's a particular criteria. To me, it smacks of elitism. It smacks of a certain glorification of money that I just am unable to deal with. But I think that, look, people should be careful. Nanado is not entirely, in my view, he's not entirely right-wing. He's not entirely right-wing. Nanado has some very strong views on state.
No, we are right wing, but we have a sense of left wing.
It's only Ghana that the so-called right wing party we introduce LEAP.
No, that's also we have a sense of
you
left wing.
You are not right wing at all. In fact,
we have some conscience, right?
I think that on some matters, NDC is further to the right than you are. You have become a socialist party.
I know. No, not a socialist party. I'm saying that.
Who is your pick for the independent prosecutor?
You know, I think that issue is going to evolve because the MPs will have to decide whether there's going to be, they're going to pass law, or it's just going to be a policy decision by the president and his attorney general that we are going to set this person up because he won't have the power to prosecute. It has to be in the name of the attorney general. So although he'll be dependent on the attorney general for the empowering, the act, which might involve in amending the Law Officers Act to include that office, that the attorney general would take a policy decision that as much as possible, I'm not going to interfere. So it will be interesting. As for names, there are many names around. I think that there are very, very qualified people who are mainstream NPP. I'll be remiss if I just came here and mentioned names, as I think people shouldn't be doing at this stage. But I think that they need to look at that very carefully. Do we really need it? And if we need it, under what circumstances? To me, those are the guiding considerations. Okay. I know why you're asking me that naughty look on your face, but I refuse to play ball where that is concerned. I won't mention any names.
Okay, right. And finally, the speaker issue, also in the Speaker of Parliament, there are names that have come up. Do you have a favorite?
No, the NPP is sport for choice. Mm-hmm. They have 3 people who have served in that capacity, and there's a second deputy speaker, Mr. Blair, Michael Quaid, he wasn't even the speaker. Joe Gatti. First. Yeah, he was first, at some point he was in first deputy speaker, Joe Gatti. So the NPP is sport for choice. In Ghana, I like things. Let's look at the competence first. Then we can look at the regional and tribal balance. So all those names appear confident. If you ask me, I've even dropped the name of a couple of Supreme Court judges who I think can step in and do that job very well.
Oh, I see. Who are you looking at? You said if I asked. I'm asking.
Well, I don't know if you accept it, but I think a person like Justice Doche.
Justice Doche?
To my mind, I don't know if he's ever going to come up for consideration. I'm not involved in that.
Okay.
But if I were to decide, I'll look very closely at him. I see. That at least to be part of the people to be considered for that position. I'm not sure he would want to leave his Supreme Court appointment on which he has quite a number of years to go and come and serve in a position which he can be kicked out tomorrow. Okay. And then if the government loses power, he becomes retired. But if I'm in that position, would consider him as part of the pool, for that position. Looking at competence and also regional balance.
Interesting. That will mean that if that is considered and it does work, you are going back to the Volta region. Koku?
Oh, no. I've decided to stay out of these things. If I get opportunity to chat with the president-elect, I'll tell him the names I think, or the people I think would help him achieve that. There's a reason why. Yeah. I don't want to spoil anybody's chances.
Are you expecting the old guard, or you're expecting new?
Well, in that terms, I think the old guards, most of them should take a rest. They should go for Macedonia and other things. Namibia, South Africa, all of those.
Why did you start with Namibia?
Oh, that's where my best friend is. So look, true, more fresh faces and limbs. I'm not talking necessarily young. There's some young ones who must be brought up too. But I think the old guards, they've done well. They've held enough to achieve this thing. They should not be in the inner circles. It's in their own interest. I haven't mentioned any name.
Okay. Yes, Abraham, what do you say?
Well, I'm indifferent about what happens in the majority camp. I'm interested in minority, what the kind of people they've put out there as front benchers, considering the fact that we are few in numbers. You need very articulate people to be in front to hold them accountable. They may win the votes, but we need to put in the minds of Ghanaians that we are actually doing our role as a minority. And so my concern is, who do we put out there first as a deputy speaker, then who will lead the group, and then who would man the front bench. We need to have people who have clout, who can, and I'm happy to indicate that we've had people who have seen this before, where they were in minority and then stayed in there and became majority. So I think we have the men, and that's where my focus is. For the majority side, well, I wish them the best. Just that Ghanaians are waiting for the free education. They are waiting for the 96,000 DKM depositors are also waiting for their money, and they are waiting for all those promises. But
now,
I don't
said
think
yesterday or so that he will fulfill
Oh yes,
all
yeah,
of
he
them.
continues saying that. So also hold
I can assure you that we didn't just promise because we wanted to promise. We're promising things we believe were good for the people of Ghana and will be achieved. So we are not prepared even to.
Which are the names that are stronger for the speaker position?
The difficulty is because I am in Parliament and I'll be voting. It's not in the interest of the party and myself to come here and be mentioning names. But it's obvious. There are some names that are very, very obvious, and I believe that at the end of the day, it will be what we are all talking about.
The names we have mentioned are the
I'm
obvious
saying
names.
I'm saying that it is very obvious to all of us
Okay.
as to the way things will go. First of all, you need a very firm.
I don't have any idea.
I'm saying that you need a very firm hand. The reason is that you have 169 members of parliament. That's a big, big, big majority.
Sure.
And it's not easy to be able to control them. Like I already said, that one behind the scenes that you are not going to have more than 30% because of the way the constitution is structured, being as ministers.
Okay.
So you have a lot of people who are in parliament, and you might not have too many of them getting into the leadership of the majority, and of course being chairman and vice chairman. And so you have a lot of backbenchers. Backbenchers are basically people who don't have any position.
Okay.
And so you need firm hands to be able to do a lot of these things. And the speaker, first deputy speaker, and the leadership of the front bench of the that's what I'm talking about. The majority is very important.
2 minutes each, and then we close. Kuku, what do you expect in the President's State of the Nation address? It's very final.
Ooh, I haven't really thought of it, but I suspect that he might highlight his achievements, particularly in the area of infrastructure, water, energy, and those things. I believe so. He'd want to leave people's mind, perhaps for the future, on his legacy. I wouldn't be surprised he would stress that. He might also talk about governance issues, the corruption, where I think he's had a tough time, let's be honest. But they still insisted they were doing better, they are done better than any other government. I think they will go for the Transparency International indicator, which indeed wasn't really...
CSOs for it.
Say it again. And I kept on telling them and they won't listen. But I think he will highlight more his infrastructure achievements, which are quite impressive. Let me be honest with you.
Right.
Yes, they don't have sometimes they don't have immediate economic benefit, but in the long term, but those things are visible and tangible. So there'll be nothing wrong if he highlighted them. Yeah.
Abraham.
Well, I know the president will take the opportunity to thank the people of Ghana for giving him the opportunity to govern this country. He would use the opportunity to highlight some of his achievements, as Koko has indicated. The Transparency International Index may have indicated that it's civil society. But if you have a government that will not allow civil society to thrive, you cannot have civil society. Some countries, civil society does not even...
You're saying it's the government that allows
I'm
civil
saying that,
society to thrive.
no, you don't understand. You don't understand. He could have He could have come down heavily as in some countries.
With what?
I'm saying that in some countries, civil society are not given the space to operate.
It's not an authoritarian. We have the laws.
So you have a president who has allowed the striving of civil society, and that is part of his.
You're saying is the president that has allowed? Yes, you're saying that the president
has created
that has allowed Chapter 5 of the Constitution.
I'm saying that the president has allowed an
Chapter
atmosphere.
5 of the Constitution.
Chapter 5 could be
is
there.
the president that has allowed
Chapter 5 could be there, but it is the government that has facilitated that to ensure that this happens. And so part of his credentials will be that he's allowed civil society to flourish in this country. He will tell the people of this country that come 2020, there will be an opportunity again for the country to select another president.
Seriously.
I'm saying that.
Seriously, remember just one instance.
Yes.
When the Occupy Flagstaff House hit the streets.
Yes.
Do you remember what happened? And do you remember the comment from government?
What happened?
Do you remember what happened? Some of them got arrested.
Don't forget the incident.
Yes. Some of them got arrested, but later they were released. But what was important is how the government saw what happened. You saw government comments.
What was the president's comment on that?
You remember what?
The
You remember what the foreign affairs minister said?
What did the president? I'm talking about the legacy of this president. The president allowed and said that the president indicated that he welcomes the Occupy Ghana people. He will take their concerns on board. You know that. I'm talking about what he will be telling the people of this country. I'm not talking about what other ministers are saying, but his legacy. And you are saying that this man is appearing before Parliament. What would he be saying? And I'm saying that these are some of his credentials. Okay. The fact that democratically he even showed some level of democratic credentials where he quickly phoned Nana Akufo-Addo even before the results were declared, shows his level of democratic credentials. And I think that these are the things that will miss President Mahama for. His own attitude towards his own attitude towards some of the things that maybe the ministers were talking about.
Okay.
He would continue to be a shining example for our democratic process.
It was very clear to the president. Very. It was clear to the president on Thursday morning that he had lost the elections. The whole of Thursday, the whole of Friday up to the evening time, when the Electoral Commission was about declaring the results before he called in the evening. Let's put that aside. I'm not even interested in that. And secondly, Chapter 5 is Chapter 5. It's not the President Mahama who brought Chapter 5. Any president will do the same thing. Let's not do propaganda.
Criminal edition, that's more substantive.
If you were Akufo-Addo, what would you say? If you were President Akufo-Addo who led the repeal of the criminal libel law, what would you say? Leave that. That's propaganda. What I'm clearly interested.
See, this government is not the only one to blame, but it's the one that has given promise upon promise and failed to pass the right to information.
I know. It's lying down in Parliament,
which is the biggest empowerment for civil society.
It's still now. Once the Parliament is not able to pass it, we have to start all over again.
Akufo-Addo promised that he will get it passed immediately.
I'm saying that we'll have to start all over again. But what I'm saying clearly is that, which will be done, I'm saying clearly is that I expected the president to extend a hand to the incoming government so that we can reconcile this nation. And then, like we have been discussing, also position himself in such a way that the incoming government can give the police that free hand to operate. One of the reasons why people are afraid, the police are afraid to act, is because when NDC boys were misbehaving, the police couldn't arrest them. And when it is the opposition, the police will go and arrest them. If the Akufo-Addo government does the same thing, you are going to have the police being afraid and they cannot do anything. So I expected the president to extend a hand to the other side, congratulate them for what has happened, accept the decision that the people of Ghana have taken, which he has anyway, and then say that, look, let's work together as one, both opposition and president, and then as a party, and move this nation forward. When it comes to election time, we'll go for elections again. He has
said all these things.
Thank God for President Mahama for accommodating Occupy Ghana. Else, you not have done the work you did.
I can imagine that.
And they'll do the same thing to Akufo-Addo.
I can imagine that for people like Amali, but even the oxygen they breathe comes through the president. So everything that happens in this country, the president must take credit for. I don't, but let me tell you what. This is the president's valedictorian speech. I expect it to be inspirational. I expect it to be real. I expect it to be healing. I expect him to come out of it as a statesman. I do not even think that he should go out and list his achievements. He should leave with this country on the high. He needs to be philosophical. He needs to challenge Ghanaians. He needs to walk off the stage in a blaze of glory. And I do not think that pulling punches and claiming credit for things he has no credit for, like the role of civil society in Ghana, is going to do that. If the president, in the extremely unlikely event that the president would listen to anything that I say, I think that the critical things is that he should be inspirational, he should be real, he should be healing, and he should walk off the stage as a statesman. And I think that will be one of his biggest legacies. So that we all heal through his speech. He is the bridge between now and what is going to come. And I really pray that he seizes this opportunity and does it very well, but not in the way Amaliba is saying it. But in any case, Abraham, the next time we meet in court, I will come and greet you. I will give you a hug.
Okay. A friend of yours, Mboga, says that he will intercept your shirt. Really? So you should prepare. He likes it that he will use the word, I will intercept you.
But for the yellow, it has a very suggestive color.
Yeah, say it. I didn't think of that.
It belongs to that stock.
Oh, but there's yellow in it.
I belong to what?
Okay. Thank you.
When he's so
Thank
friendly.
you. Thank you. Thank you all very much. My guests have been Abdul Malik Kweku Bako. He's the editor-in-chief of the New Crusading Guide newspaper.
Is this our last shot?
Yes,
Newsfile. No,
yeah.
I mean news for the year.
For the year, no, we should have a final one. Okay. Abdul Malik Kweku Bako is the editor-in-chief of the New Crusading Guide newspaper and our regular panelist on this show. Ace Kojo Anan Ankoma calls himself the chief servant at the law offices where he works. He knows what he has done to me because then Dominic Nituo is also MP and is a minority leader, deputy minority leader in Parliament. He's won his seat and hoping that he might become a minister, as is being speculated all around.
It's obvious.
I don't know what that means.
It's obvious, eh? Who says it's obvious?
But you say you're not going to comment.
I'm really reacting to some case.
Abraham Amalba is with the NDC legal team. Thank you very much, all of you, for watching and for listening. Have a good afternoon.